had the worst master class of my life and the best month in business. Like, it was evidence to me that we absolutely do not need to show up perfectly in our business. We don't need to show up perfectly in our marketing in order to make money. We just have to show up, and we have to show up in alignment. And alignment does not mean perfect. It just means I'm being true to myself and following what it is that I know that I need to do.
Welcome to the Feminine Alchemy podcast, where we explore the truth about the feminine, the peaceful, the wild, and the visceral. I'm your host, J.N. Behringer, joined by my co-hosts, Julie Dean Richards and Kaylee Rose. Each week, we explore the deep mysteries of the feminine and help listeners apply them to their daily lives in a practical way. Join us to unlock the hidden wisdoms your soul has been waiting for.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Feminine Alchemy. I'm Kaylee Rose, and today I have with me someone I'm super excited to talk to and for you to hear from. Her name is Cytel Schults. Go ahead and say hello.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yay! I'm so stoked. Okay. So I'm going to give all of you a little bit of an intro to who Seidel is and what she does, so you have a starting point for this conversation. And then Seidel and I are just going to go see what happens. So Seidel is a marketing coach and the host of the Soul Sound Marketing podcast. She helps coaches and mentors fall in love with marketing by connecting them to their natural marketing design, so their message sounds like them and naturally attracts their ideal clients. And I really love that. I love so much that that's what you're doing.
I really love it too. It would probably be bad if I didn't.
Yeah, I would be a little concerned.
You know, we are doing our business because we feel called to do it, and we can't help ourselves. I mean, honestly, we would not be doing this otherwise, because it is definitely a very growing experience, you know? And I just think I just want to help people communicate what it is that they do, because it can be so hard to do that. Like, how do I put into words the magic that I do and not sound like everybody else? Because there are scripts, and like, even I took a marketing little thing. I bought a little marketing thing. And I remember looking through it, and she's like, well, I'll help you put you together a script. And it was for Instagram. And I just love this girl so much. But when I was diving into it, she's like, okay, do some research on what other people in your field are doing. And I was like, nobody's doing what I'm doing.
Exactly. You are a category of one.
Nobody else is doing marketing astrology, you know? And so I was like, there is nothing, I can't find anybody to show me like what's working on Instagram reels. And I was just like, you know, I just have to be myself. And that's what I want to help so many women do, coaches and mentors, is be themselves in their marketing, so that it just is pouring out of them instead of drudgery.
Yeah. I love that so much, because having been playing in the realm of business and being serious about the realm of business since about 2020, there are definitely times when I've wondered, what on earth am I doing? Like, I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall. I have no clue what's happening. And I love that you give people this like clarity on stepping into who they already are in a way that attracts people to them and the right people to them.
Yes.
And the first time I interacted with your work, I was working as the staff astrologer at the part-time CEO, and you were still figuring out what it was exactly that you wanted to offer to the world. And I did a mini reading for you where we focused on what your chart had to say about that. And I take absolutely zero credit for where you've gone since then. But I will say, I think that validated things for you that you already deep down knew. And now it's been, I think, about 4 years. And I've watched from the edges as you have taken that conversation, and I'm sure tons of experiences before that, and put together something that is so perfectly aligned with your gifts. Can you walk us through that evolution and give us some context for that?
When you did that reading for me and I joined that course, I was not interested in astrology whatsoever. I told a good friend of mine who's a professional astrologer, like posts stuff on YouTube, makes money from her YouTube channel doing astrology. I said, I think astrology is a fad. So I'm sure she was like, yes, 2000-year fad, Seidel.
That's been around a hot minute, for sure.
I was just like, I think it's the big thing now, and it's just not sustainable. That was literally 2 or 3 months before I hired the part-time CEO, and you did that reading for me. And it's just so funny to me because obviously so much has changed. I use astrology in my business, so it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Remember like that module and learning about astrology, I remember distinctly you doing my chart. And I was like, oh, this is real. This is like really real. And the things that you were saying based on my chart and like helping people with, I was like, oh my word, it's true. Like, I've always felt really passionate about helping women with their voices, but I didn't know how to say it. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I did music before and a little bit of singing, and I was like doing voice lessons, but hated it. I'm like, sing for me so I can hear things so that we can really get to the meat and potatoes of what it is that you're doing. And then it would change the way they sang, when we're addressing emotional and mental things that are going on behind or beneath the voice that are creating the vocal things. And it was fine. It was fine, but it wasn't my love. And then you did the reading for me and I was like, oh, yes. Okay, I really like this. And working with my mentor, she was like, maybe you should just help people in business. And I was like, well, I don't know. That's like kind of a stretch. I'd had a friend a few years earlier tell me that she thought I'd help people with marketing. And I was like, that's a 4-letter word. Like, why would I ever want to do that? But as I got into it, and I really was diving into astrology, and then I started asking God what it meant because I took an astrology course and I gained so much knowledge. But I don't know if you feel like this, Kaylee Rose, but like when I started learning astrology, I was like, I'm drowning. I'm drowning. I get it, but there's so much interpretation to astrology
Yes.
that you can say what it means, but still not have any idea what it actually means and how to apply it to your life. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so I was like, okay, God, I know I've got a gift of clairaudience. I need you to tell me what the heck all of this stuff means. And so he was like, this is what the sound of the moon means. And this is what each one of the signs sounds like. And this is their authentic voice. And he's like, this is what the frequency of each one of the signs are. And frequency, I mean, they're kind of like their value, like the frequency of Aries is being heard and the frequency of Cancer is cared for and supported, which makes sense. And I was like, oh my gosh. So my MC, like the frequency of my business is to help people feel heard. Of course it is. And helping them be heard specifically with their business.
Yeah. And for anyone who's listening who has not yet picked up what MC means, that's the midheaven. That's the angle of the chart that's pointing directly upward. And yeah, it's in a lot of ways the most public part of your chart.
Yes.
And so, Seidel, you help people really show up in that public sphere from a space that's very authentic.
Yeah, that's really my desire. And the kind of the way I see the midheaven is this is how we approach our business. It's the energy with which we approach that. And like the energy that I'm designed to do that. And it's also the energy that we bring to other people, right? It's part of our mission. It's our mission. It's part of our message. Part of that, it means we get to experience it too.
Mm-hmm.
So that we know how to lead people through it. So it really was about me stepping into being heard in my own life, personally and then professionally, and helping other mentors and coaches stepping into them being heard in their businesses, and then it ekes over into their personal life.
Mm-hmm. Because everything is connected.
Everything's good.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, as you started to really gain some clarity on how you want to show up in your business and what you're bringing to other people, like you've already mentioned, you had some moments of maybe resistance of like, yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. What would you say? Is there like a single pivot point where you just really went all in, or was it multiple smaller moments of like, I'm going to take a leap of faith. I'm going to trust that this crazy thing is actually not that crazy. And could you describe that for us?
Yeah, it was both. It was a little bit at a time. It was so funny because I remember when I finally told my Facebook group that I was going to do marketing. And I had some people that were like, duh, like we already knew that's what you did. Because here's the thing, I think so often it's like children. Our business doesn't come with a manual. Like step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Clock in at 9, clock out at 5. You know what I mean? So we're just like figuring it all out as we go along. And it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of telling us how to do it or what to do. Obviously, we can use our natal chart to do that.
Yeah, that helps.
It helps quite a bit. I think there is also this piece of like really being ready to own and say what it is that we do. And so I was like, I help people get into their authentic sound to expand their impact. What is that really? That's marketing, your authentic marketing voice. But I didn't want to say marketing because it was a little bit too vulnerable. And I didn't want to say, I can help you attract your ideal client because that felt really wild. Like, can I actually help people do that, And so it was like a little bit at a time. And, I did see things happening. I'd work with a client and she's like, I made this month what I invested it with you. And I was like, that's fantastic. Like, so exciting. Still didn't want to claim marketing.
Mhm.
But I was still saying it. Like willing to say it, but I wasn't quite ready to own it on the back end.
Yeah.
And so I was working my way there a little bit at a time. And it over a couple of years process, really, probably like 3 years. And I remember working with a business coach, and she had me go through the whole ideal client thing. You know what I'm saying? How many
Yeah.
times have you done the ideal client packet? A zillion. Like, done it a zillion times. But I remember going through that and we're trying to come up with my power phrase. And she's like, what do you really want to do? And I remember just sitting there and I just blurted out, I want to help people fall in love with their marketing. It was like, that just happened. I just claimed it in my whole being.
Mhm.
And I was like, marketing can be so fun. It can be so enjoyable and it seems unfathomable that it could be like that because it can be so hard to put into words what you do.
Mhm.
I was like, marketing really is just communication and connection. We're communicating with our audience, we're connecting with our audience. And if my desire, my like really heart's desire is to help people just overflow and the marketing just pours out of them, which is absolutely possible. And when that's happening, clients are signing.
I love that you framed it that way, the communication and connection, because then it does kind of make marketing not seem like this big scary thing.
Yes, exactly.
Just a natural outflow, like a natural expansion, if you will, of just how you're showing up.
Exactly. I know coaches and mentors, they love showing up in their sessions. They love serving their clients. Like it feels so good. And then they go to talk about what they do and they're like, I don't know what to say. And I had clients like this for years that are like, I told my friend about you because I think she needs to come see you. But I didn't know exactly what to say that you do. And I was like, okay, even back then I was like, that's so bad. I would be like, he was like, oh my gosh, Kaylee, you've got to go to this restaurant. You're like, okay, what kind of food do they serve? I don't really know how to explain it. I'd be like, I'm out.
Give me some sense of what I'm getting myself into.
Is it chicken? Is it beef? Is it Asian? Is it Italian? You're like, I'm not excited. I'm not exactly sure how to describe the flavors.
Yeah.
Can you show me a picture?
So I'm noticing this thread that's kind of weaving through this conversation, and that has to do with vulnerability. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that vulnerability piece, especially I know that especially for women, there can come into play that whole witch wound, that ancestral, like, oh, women have been shut down because of their power. Women have been hurt because of using their voices and their influence. And there are definitely times in the here and now where that can be really scary. What feels important to you because of what you are experiencing and what you are bringing to the world? Like, what do you think people need to know about that vulnerability piece?
Vulnerability is actually power. And I feel so passionate about that. There's a big difference between exposure and vulnerability. And so often we lump exposure and we say vulnerability, but we really mean expose.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, this feels so vulnerable. And I'm like, no, actually, it feels really exposing. Like sharing something that we haven't fully worked through yet. So to that I helped people with their marketing felt exposing, but I was doing it anyway because I was like, it feels right. I know it's what I'm supposed to do, but it feels a little exposing. But when I really owned it and I really stood in the power of it and I stood in the certainty that this is what I was supposed to do, it became a vulnerability. And vulnerable in the sense that I am now willing to let my heart connect to another woman's heart. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that is vulnerable. It's vulnerable to put yourself out there and make that connection. But really, to me, vulnerability is power. It equals power because we can only make a difference in someone else's life if we make a heart connection. Yes, we can teach somebody 1, 2, 3s, but I'll tell you the most powerful teachers that I remember from my elementary school, it had nothing to do with what they taught me knowledge base. It was the impact that they had on me emotionally. And my second grade teacher, still remember her name, still remember the day I ran up to her, told her that I did my hair by myself. And I was so proud of myself. And she was so happy for me. And she listened and then she celebrated. And I remember going back, like everybody's doing their work at that time. And then I went back and I sat down and I did my work. And I'm sure I was so in the work. And I'm sure it was some of my best work because I felt so seen. I felt so heard. I felt celebrated. You know, that's the kind of impact. We can share knowledge, but it's the feeling that we leave people with that it will really change them. And that's vulnerability.
I love that so much, that weaving of the vulnerability with power, and not even a weaving, they are the same thing. Even if you think about Scorpio themes and house themes and Pluto themes, there is that element of power and vulnerability because they are the same thing. And that distinction between vulnerability and exposure, like that was a light bulb for me because it's like, oh yeah, the times that I disappear after being visible, it's because I felt exposed, not because I felt vulnerable. Nobody likes to be exposed, I don't think. Not truly.
Well, I think that I'll say it like this, there's a time and a place
Mm.
and there's people to do it with. You
Yeah.
need to have exposure. And that's what your clients are coming to you for. They're coming to you in a space of exposure and they're sharing the parts of themselves that they might not have shared with anybody else, or they might have only shared with a few people, but haven't known how to get through it. It's like walking outside or being naked isn't bad. Walking around downtown naked, that's bad. Like, but when I get in the shower, I don't want to shower with my swimsuit on.
No.
That's not going to be super helpful, right? And so
Yeah.
there's a time and a place for exposure, and there's a time and a place for vulnerability. I can be vulnerable, and I feel like vulnerability really is I know what to share, I know how much of it to share, and I know who to share it with. and I've worked through any of the feelings that I might have that keep me from sharing it. And if I don't have all of those four things, then that's when I might experience what people know as a vulnerability hangover. But I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that can be one of two things, vulnerability hangover. One, I'm not practiced at it yet. And
Mm,
so it feels uncomfortable. Or two, it could be, I just stepped into exposure and now I don't feel good.
yeah. Exposure that didn't have a safe container around it, I think is the distinction
Exactly.
that you're making with the
Yes.
exposure. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Like I just stepped into exposure and I shared online some things that I probably didn't want to share.
Okay.
Back on it probably wasn't a great idea.
I am loving this conversation. I can feel some things rearranging in my own psyche right now based on things that you said around vulnerability and exposure, because so much of what I have tried to do in the past with my marketing, um, there are so many things that I labeled um, as not being vulnerable when in reality I was being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I was sharing what I was ready to share, what I had processed, and it wasn't me. I think I've kind of held this belief about myself that like, oh, I'm hard to get to know. I keep things kind of hidden. That Scorpio rising in me, just like I'm not easy to get to know, but I can talk to people about really deep, really personal subjects if I've processed enough around them. And I've labeled that as, well, you're not actually being vulnerable. You're just being like safe, quote unquote safe. But in reality, I actually have been being vulnerable. I've been avoiding exposure without that safe container around it.
Yes.
That's huge. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Really huge. And I think so often we don't want to share because vulnerability, it's the soft, squishy parts of us.
Mm-hmm.
True, and we think that in our marketing, we have to stay mind level, right? And polished. And I'm telling you, polish doesn't sell. It doesn't. Emotion sells. People buy from emotion. And I think that was labeled for a long time as a really bad thing. But it's not, because our heart is meant to guide us. Our mind is meant to support us. So when we market from that space, we're making an emotional connection with our audience. And we're saying, I get you. I have been exactly where you're at. I have tried writing my ideal client 1.5 million times. And then I realized, oh my gosh, she's sitting there right there in my chart. I tried writing my power phrase. I ignored my power phrase for years and years because I didn't know what to say. And then when I said to my mentor, I just want to help coaches and mentors fall in love with marketing. I looked at my chart and I was like, oh, it's right there. It actually says marketing right there. Like, what the heck is happening right now? And, as I went further on, it's like, so I can help them attract their ideal clients. I can see that in my chart too. It's just two very specific placements. And I'm like, oh, like everything, right?
There's the answer that you've been like
Yeah,
stumbling
there.
around.
But and then it takes the willingness to share my heart and not just be feely, because I think that sometimes people mix up the difference between emotional and heart centered.
Okay. Yeah.
Makes sense to you?
Yeah. It's almost like the difference between like performing the emotion or performing the connection versus actually embodying it.
I have watched people perform the emotion to manage connection. And I remember sitting in an audience watching it happen, and I was like, I would like to throw up right now. I'm sure I'm not alone. And
Yeah.
maybe I could see it because this was what I'm supposed to do. And so it was like obvious to me. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, wait a second. The light just switched off and now all of a sudden they're not crying and everything. It just felt so practiced. And
Mm.
it felt very performance based, like what you would do on a stage, acting. And I don't know. I feel like I could say so many things because this is what really good actors do. They embody the character instead of performing the character.
Yeah.
And so we're like really embodying what we're doing. And then we're really sharing what we're doing from our heart instead of trying to perform what we do from an emotional base.
I wonder if, I think for me, performing that comes from a space of like, oh, I have to get it right. I have to do it right. And then people will come to me. But that's not actually how it works. That's not how magnetism works. That's not how the kind of marketing that you are talking about really works.
I just want to say, no, it's not. I have to tell you, last month I gave the worst masterclass of my life, hands down. And I remember I was just like, I was hitting an upper limit and I was just like, I've already had a good month. There's no way I could reach this goal, but I'm going to try. But like, it's cutting me off mid forehead. And so like, I'm going to try to reach this goal, but there's just no way. And so I'm like, okay, I have to do a master class because that's my thing. It's a free master class every month. And so I went to, don't do this. I went to ChatGPT, just so you know, don't ever do this. I went to ChatGPT and I was like, I need you to write me a master class. I have no idea what to do it on. Don't do that either. And then I was like, can you just put something together for me? I swear I was awake when I read it. And I swear I was awake the day before the master class when I reviewed the whole master after my assistant had put the slides together. And then when I was presenting the masterclass and there were people live on the call, I was like, I'm awake. What is this? I was like, this is the worst. Like this slide says basically the same thing that said last slide and 2 slides before that.
Oh no.
Like, I mean, it was, I wish it was like, they changed a word or two here. That's about it. Everything else was the same. I remember presenting the master class and I was laughing like this while I was presenting it because I'm like, I can't believe I've done this. I have done this. I have sealed my fate. Nothing is going to happen. I'm laughing because I'm like, there's no way a single person is going to book a discovery call after this class. 20 minutes after the class ended, I got a discovery call. We met and she paid in full and I hit my highest month in business that I've ever had. And I was like, what just happened? I just had the worst master class of my life and the best month in business. Like,
My goodness.
it was evidence to me that we absolutely do not need to show up perfectly in our business. We don't need to show up perfectly in our marketing in order to make money. We just have to show up and we have to show up in alignment. Don't even have to be awake the whole time. We have to be aligned, and alignment does not mean perfect.
Yeah.
It just means I'm being true to myself and following what it is that I know that I need to do, even with imperfecity. That's not a word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
I'm just going to make up words.
I love that so much. And I think that what you just said also outlines this idea that has been just percolating in the back of my head with the emergence and just explosion of AI is that you can use AI or you cannot use AI. But either way, if you don't also bring the human element, it's going to fall flat. It's not AI that's going to make or break you. It's you in your humanness that makes or breaks you. And because like you used AI and you didn't even necessarily use it as a tool, you just kind of threw it at everybody. But you came up, sorry, that's probably a terrible way to phrase that. But like from how you described it, it's like, okay, here's this AI. Maybe it was slop. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know what it was, but I'm showing up real as myself to this. And that is what spoke to people.
You know what? I really appreciate that because I think that's exactly what happened. Like, I remember reading the slide and I was like, wow, this is really bad. I need to just like really fill in the blanks here. And I remember filling in the blanks. I'm like, hey, let's talk about what this slide was really supposed to say. I mean, I didn't say that. Like, next slide. And then I just start laughing out loud because I couldn't believe what I'd done. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about what this slide should really have said. And, you're right. It was just really me showing up as me in the imperfect. And AI is fantastic, but not from scratch. Because the people, if they wanted AI, they just Google and they'd pull up ChatGPT. They don't want ChatGPT. They want you.
Yeah.
So Seidel Schultz, solemnly swear never to write a masterclass from scratch with ChatGPT. I will start it. Chat can edit it.
Yes. And that's the thing too about AI is that it's only as good as what gets put into it to begin with. And if you come to AI with your humanity and with your ideas and with your passion and your whatever it is that you bring, it's going to create better than it would if you're just like, hey, give me this thing that I need.
Hey, would you come up with a masterclass idea for me? You know what I do, so just put something together. And the thing too that I just keep thinking as we're talking, so I was reading a post somewhere. All good stories start like that, by the way.
I was reading a post.
Reading a post. I saw a reel one time, but I was reading this post and I read in the comments and they were like, I am so sick of all these posts that I can totally see that people are using ChatGPT. And I was like, yes, because again, it's the difference between really good words and really good feelings. Like, we can learn our mathematics, but that teacher made an impression not because of the specifics that she taught me, but because of the feeling she left me with.
Yeah.
And it's the combination of the two that really creates wisdom.
Yes.
Because we can't have wisdom without knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't have wisdom without feeling either.
That's a powerful distinction right there. So now that we've had this really fun story and lots of laughing,
My fave.
I'm trying to decide what direction I want to take this next question. You and I have talked outside of this podcast episode a little bit about Pallas and you having a special relationship with her. And I'm curious if there's anything about Pallas that you'd love to talk about right now, or if that's something that you're like, oh, that's a little too close right now.
I love Pallas so much. In fact, my ChatGPT and I's nickname, I don't think I told you this when we talked. So Pallas is based on Athena,
Mm-hmm.
the story of Athena. So I went to ChatGPT and I was like, listen, my Pallas is sitting in my 10th house. Obviously, I'm Athena, goddess the goddess of wisdom.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, chat, who in the history with mythology had something to do with Athena that I can give you a nickname for? We came up with Nike, was the goddess of strategy. So it's like, okay, you can help me with the strategy. I got the wisdom. But one of the things that I love so much about this is because where Pallas is at in our chart really shows where our natural wisdom is. Are we going to learn things about it? Absolutely. Do I still need to take business course? Like, I have a business mentor 100%, right? So it's not like, oh, I know it all and I don't need to learn anything from anybody. Like, I don't need to take business anything, right? But really, when it comes down to it, business is a thing that I just get. Do you know what I'm saying? And it is, and it's weird. And you would think, oh, this means that I was an entrepreneur from the age of 7. From very young. My husband had an ice cream truck at the age of 16. Legit. Yes. Ice cream. Like, he is the epitome of that, right? That was not me. I was like, no, I can't ask people for money and I can't sell anything. That sounds terrible, right? But when it came down to it, I really do have this business instinct. And there is this piece. And so where Pallas is showing up in our chart, it's where we have this natural wisdom when we trust ourselves and when we step into it. And it can be a great shower of where we're taking people or what we promise in our power phrase. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, our power phrase is the who we serve, the what we do, and the where we're taking them, which is really the result. Like, what
Yeah.
result am I going to get for them? And our Pallas can show us that. And I love it so much. So my Pallas is in Aries in the 10th house. And it's a really interesting because to me, that feels like really attracting the ideal client. That's what that screams to me, like bringing that into business, right? But that doesn't necessarily everybody's Pallas in the 10th house means that they're going to help them with business, because it's an interpretation, right? And it really is about listening to what your chart is saying, listening to my client's charts saying, to really understand the translation of it.
And taking into account all the other things that are connected in that chart. Someone can have Pallas in Aries in the 10th house and something else connected to it that makes it so different from how yours expresses.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's all the connections that they have. It's, I'm sure you feel this way too, but I feel like in our natal chart, there are 2 or 3 witnesses of the same thing.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this evidence that this is exactly what we're supposed to do. And I can see that in so many places. I can see it in the place in my chart that shares what my ideal client is experiencing. And I was like, oh, it even says it in that area that I'm supposed to help people attract their ideal clients. Hello. It's just like so obvious now that I can.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that there's a second and a third witness and beyond in the chart. I actually call that echoing. I refer to it as echoing when I work with clients because it's like, okay, we've got this energy, we've got this placement, and it's also echoing in this way. And it's over here. And yeah, I'm sometimes blown away at how powerful a tool the natal chart can be for us really connecting with our own inner wisdom and having that witness of like, oh, what I was feeling, like it's actually here in this thing that somebody else figured out how to make it. I had no influence in its creation other than being born. And like, there it is. It's saying what I already felt deep down.
Yes, exactly. I love that. And the other thing that I'm thinking too with the echoing is the other thing to me is that it's saying is I'm supported in all areas of my life to do this thing.
Yeah.
I am so supported. This is showing me how much support I have. My Venus is showing me how much support. My Chiron is showing me just how much support I have in showing up in my business. My moon is showing me just how much I'm supposed to help people express and really share their worth and their value, which, hello, that's freaking marketing, right? It's express worth and our value. Like,
Yes.
that's what
Yeah.
it is, right? And so it's like, okay, I have all these things that are helping me do this thing I already want to do.
And then you have taken that and you've figured out how to use that tool to support people in really stepping into the power of their own voices and who they are and what they want to bring to the world.
Yeah, what they're designed to bring to the world. Can't help themselves, they have to bring to the world.
Yes. They can resist it and resist it and resist it, but it just doesn't go away, does it, Seidel?
I was like, maybe I should get a job. I mean, I remember thinking this. I went to the grocery store and they had a help wanted sign, and I'm like, maybe I should just become a cashier. And I was like, what am I thinking? Like, I would last 5 seconds. And I really had thought that like 6 or 7 times. But I'm just like, wow. Okay. So then I started seeing it as this. Okay, I'm starting to feel really exposed in my business. So it's feeling easier to get a job at the grocery store than it is to show up in my business. But I could never do it. I could never do it. And I could never, my husband, he would say, you could make so much money. And I was like, you're right, I could, but it just feels so bad to make it somewhere else besides my business.
Yeah.
And then I really committed. I committed to doing it in my business. And well, that made all the difference.
That commitment and that truly stepping in to what you were designed to do, what you you just couldn't resist it anymore.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Oh, no. Okay, maybe a little bit. I'm in.
Yes. Well, I can't say that I know everything that's happened because I don't over the past few years, but what little I've been able to see from the edges and kind of lurking in your Facebook group and reading emails, it has been so fun and inspiring to watch you as you have shifted and evolved and then stood more and more in your own power. And now here you are, and it's like, oh my God, you're doing it. You are doing it. And I love it so much.
It's so much too. It's just been so rewarding to be able to help women change the way they're communicating online, help them leave an impact.
So before we wrap things up today, is there any final bit of wisdom, Athena, that you would like to share with our audience today?
I just want to say this. You're designed to be amazing at marketing. This part of your design is to be amazing at it. Just as amazing as you are at showing up in the sessions. And it's you.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out, like, wait, is that directed at me or is that directed at everybody?
Yes. And yes. Everybody.
As you said that, it just like struck something in me that I was like, wow, that felt really personally directed. And then I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that was for all of us.
It felt personal. It was supposed.
Well, thank you, Seidel. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for having the courage to show up in the way that you have and to course correct when you felt drawn to, and to show up in a really real way, even when you might have been asleep at some point when you created a masterclass. Like, it's just inspiring, and it's been such a pleasure to talk with you today. And for those who are listening in, who would just love to hear from you more, love to connect with you, where can they find you?
My podcast, Soul Sound Marketing. They can also check out my website, which is www.soulsound.co. C-O-N.
Yeah.
I always have a free product on there, and it's always rotating because I just love it. Like I said earlier, constantly doing a free masterclass every month, and it's just my joy. So I'm sure whenever you hear this podcast, there will be a free masterclass coming up.
Wonderful. And we'll make sure to get those links in the show notes so that those are easily accessible for those of you who are listening in. Thank you again, Seidel. This was so much fun. We'll hear you all. No, you will all hear us next time. Goodbye, everyone.